out, actually, because we were outdoors, everyone. Thumbs up if you are here for the walking tour. Great. If even if you didn't sign up, you are part of our collective now, so join on in. My name is Manda Wittebort. I work for the Brown Center for Leadership and Service in the Rights Union, and part of the big organizing team that we're from different areas across campus, and that's really important to our process, is that collaboration, the different perspectives, and the shared work and shared talents that we have in Gainesville and at this institution. But I'm really gonna hand this mic to our coordinator for all this, Alex.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out to our event today. As Manda said, my name is Alex Leon, and I'm a third-year history English major working with the Brown Center for Leadership and Service. And I've also worked with a lot of our partners. If you look at the front of your brochure on the logos, the very, very first page, those logos are all of the wonderful departments and people that have helped us to make this program possible. For some background, last summer, the BCLS, the Brown Center for Leadership and Service, and its year-long service fellowship, Path to Purpose, initiated a partnership with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program and Beyond 120 to help ideate and plan our first walking tour of UF historical sites and spaces centered around student organizing and impact around Gainesville. We've been exploring different themes across all different academic backgrounds, perspectives, disciplines, from health to community organizing to today's theme, Black History Month and Black Thursday. And like I said, this is how we are going to remember it today, both in the past, present, and future, with all of our sites, including here, Turlington Plaza, Tigert Hall, and the Institute of Black Culture. And our partnerships are collections of centers and humans who value the power and the talents of students and faculty in the Gator Nation. Our purpose for today and after is that we can continue with these tours and initiatives to humanize institutions, and especially all of these historic buildings and statues that we walk by every single day. It's mundane in the moment, but every place has a story, and working on this project has made me realize that in the most special way possible, which is why I hold this project very close to my heart. And I want you to use your brochures, follow along with us as we go along our tour. We have what if resources, these QR codes you can scan on the very last page if you want to learn even more. Our contacts, our storytellers, including Dr. David Canton from the African American Studies program. You could give him a hand. We also have Dr. Steve Noll from the UF History Department. And we've worked with Satya Sanan. I'm not sure if she's here right now, but she is the program director for the Office of Black Student Engagement. And we will also be hearing from a student ambassador working with the IBC. So we'll be hearing some of their perspective as well. I'm so grateful that we've been able to put this together. And I can pass it on to our site leader for Turlington, the director of the African American Studies program, Dr. David Canton.
Thank you very much. Happy leap year, everybody. So we're out here to talk about the African American Studies program at the University of Florida. But before I begin, I'd like to shout out my colleagues. Can they raise their hand? There we go. Dr. Riché Barnes, Dr. Kevin Winstead, Dr. Julie Mollingfield. A number of our students out here currently taking our courses. Can you raise your hands? There we go, okay. So obviously we know that Black Studies as a discipline started in 1968 at San Francisco State University, right? So students organized protesting how universities' curriculums were Eurocentric, pretty much marginalizing the African experience, not talking about them at all. So therefore these students organized. We need a Department of Black Studies that provides students African-American perspectives on different areas, whether it's literature, sociology, anthropology, and history. So we see across the country, different universities establish departments and programs. Our program started in 1969 The first director was Dr. Ronald Foreman. So during that period, we had a certificate program, 1971, in 2006, a minor, in 2014, a major, and now in the process of working on becoming a department. Because obviously, yeah, give a hand for that, all right? As you can see from our flyer, we have, that was dedicated in 2020, and then our office suite also created it in 2020 as well. So every chance to come by, we have a conference room, we have all these upgrades in the office suite, a great place to do your studying, you know, also having conversations with my colleagues and other students about African American studies. So really trying to create an atmosphere that's welcoming, academically engaging, and also fun, right? You might come by and say, man, what they're doing in there, they're having such a great time, right? We just had a great time about talking about microwave popcorn. But we talk about all types of things, right? You know, we talk about all types of stuff, well, like I said, what's academic, political, what's going on campus, but that's what we try to bring. That's what Black Studies is all about, right? That we're also educational, also engaging and having a good time. Also in terms of our program, ranges of courses, race and sport, Black feminist theory, we do stuff in AI, African American literature, I teach a course on hip hop. So we have a range of subjects, a range of expertise that makes our program very unique and engaging, which we definitely want students, whether you want to do a minor, which are 5 courses, or a major, which are 10 courses. So please definitely check us out as a program. And also we have programming. You might want to write this down. Our next big event is on March 20th, 5 to 6:30. We're bringing Dr. Tanisha Ford from CUNY in New York. Okay, we also bring in speakers throughout the year. Another way to come in, meet faculty, meet our students, and we talk more about our program. So pretty much I don't know if this many people, like we're right there, so we can see all our turns. I would walk in, I think we have too many folks, but please, we have a chance, come by 1012 Turlington, stop by. We got coffee, we got tea, we got candy, we got snacks. Whatever it takes to bring people out, engage our program, that's what we do in African American Studies program at UF. Let's see, what else? I missed anything else can I talk about? I didn't catch everything, did I? I don't think so. I think that's everything. Should I walk folks through? We can walk through, why not? We'll just go, we'll walk y'all through and you can just walk in and walk out through the conference room. Come on through. Let's get the walk going.
Thank you.
I'm not very technology at all. No.
I never heard of Beyond 112. I'll have to hear more.
These here are journals from the Discipline of African American Studies that we publish in, right? These are all our offices here. So again, this is all new. This is all 2020. This was created, go down this way. That's the office there in the corner. Dr. Barnes, Dr. Whipstead. Here's the first director, Dr. Ronald Foreman. And here goes our conference room, office meetings, classes, student areas.
I think we're in the fall tonight.
Look at that spot, right?
Walk through, nice view there. Best office right there. Yeah. This is helpful.
So.
While Dr. Canton maybe comes back, and then people can ask questions of him and his team, I just want to do a quick raise the hands if you choose. Raise the hands if you feel like as a neighbor, which is my substitution for the word citizen, because citizen doesn't include everyone, but as a neighbor in Gainesville, your community, you feel like you have power. Raise your hand if you feel like you have power as a neighbor or citizen, quote unquote. Okay. Raise your hand if you think students have power. Whether you are or not a student, students have power. Cool. Okay, thank you. And raise the hands if you feel like you have power. Cool. So the answer to all of those is definitely we all have power, and that we've all been raised in systems that don't always make us know that we notice that we still have that power, and in decision making and where we can use it and how we can use it. And that was a lot of the precipice for this tour, is that we at BCLS highly encourage students and everyone at UF to become and know they're a Gainesville neighbor, and that it's really important to understand and meet people that are around town, because that's what we're part of. And I started noticing students felt like, oh, well, that community organizer or that amazing leader, like they're older or they're from there, like they get it. Who am I? Like, what do I know? And really wanting to see that, no, students have influenced over the many decades. Every movement have we all as students had a role. And so when we give up and we say, I don't know if I really have power, we're like giving that back to the system or to other folks who will then take that power and use it. So we want this tour to feel like a reminder, not just of like the challenging things of the world, those are true, but that people, small groups of people enacted their power, very different power over time. So that's my TED Talk. Dr. Canton, just wanted to come over and see if people had questions. If y'all don't, I do, so hopefully some of you all.
There we go. Yes. There you go.
My question is, how does the department affected by the push legislation from the state of Florida against departments like this, / even in like mostly primary education, but it's leading into college education as well?
So she wants to know how the legislation has impacted our program. And it's two things. I think most of our classes are upper level courses, and upper level courses haven't been impacted by these legislations, right? The argument is it's self-select. So when you take our courses, we're going to talk about institutional racism, inequality, sexism. You signed up for them, right? The challenge is we try to become a department. When it goes up to the Board of Governors, that becomes the challenge, right? When they see African American studies, what do they think about the discipline in itself? But we're confident, we got support from the dean, the work that we do, that, we're doing everything we have to do to ensure our students are well prepared, right? There's no indoctrination, all the other misinformation out there, that African studies is a discipline like any other discipline. And you're going to talk about these issues just like in economics. You talk about Milton Friedman, John Maynard Keynes. We do the same thing in African American studies. So we're confident on our end, we're doing what we have to do. But again, we'll have to see as our proposal moves up through the state of Florida. I got a little snap, thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
How closely are you aligned with the Chicano, Latinx groups, brown folk, black and brown? What kind of intersectionality, if you will, do you have with those groups?
Well, so in that case, in terms of, a lot of times we co-sponsor events, right? So we co-sponsor with a ton of different programs, department on campus. And obviously in our classes, we talk about intersectionality. That's a major theory in the discipline. So there are those relationships that we're willing to work with anybody, right? But we co-sponsor with different programs, departments, with events, and obviously in our courses, we talk about intersectionality. We'll talk about black and brown. We'll talk about these issues. So again, this whole, another misinformation that Black studies only for Black people is, again, misinformation, right? Black History Month is not just for Black people, it's for everybody.
How do you explain to people who don't already understand the importance of any of the work in general, but I think it's sometimes of even knowing history, right? And bringing history into now. What is that to gather people involved? Because I think there's a lot of students that already feel supported and are involved in ways, and then there's many people in the middle that are kind of just apathetic to understanding anything but their own experience.
Well, I think it's a larger history. I think in our country, Americans are ahistorical on average, right? We have amnesia when it comes to history. then the history we want people to study or know is the good citizen history, right? Be a good person and go vote. But the reality is that history provides that framework to understand complex issues, whether it's poverty, inequality, underfunded schools, right? We see these patterns over time. But unfortunately, in our culture, you know, recent last 20 years, there's so much emphasis on STEM and engineering that people believe that history doesn't matter. But the reality, it does matter, right? Once we understand history, all these issues that we're debating, we've seen these arguments before in the last 30, 40, 50, 100 years. So I think it's important that all students, whether minor in African studies, get these humanities courses. Just as important as the STEM courses is what we try to tell students in our program. Yep.
Hi, everybody. I'm Riché Barnes, and I'm faculty member in African American Studies. I just wanted to say it's also sometimes a misnomer that African American Studies is just African American history. We teach all the disciplines. Really, we teach sociology, anthropology, English, history, the arts. Political science. We are a interdisciplinary discipline. So it's important for students and faculty also to know that. And I think also to your question about our relationships with other marginalized groups, we teach a lot of the intersections that we encounter. Right? We have come from the same difficult places in the American context and in the Americas context. And so we teach students those linkages as well and try to make sure that they understand that, again, this is not just about Black people. Right, it's about all of us. African American Studies is American studies. It is European studies. It is African studies. It is Latin American studies. It is if you know anything about Black studies, you know that we're in all of it.
Yeah, and we also just hired AI, digital studies, right? We hired Dr. Winstead. So again, the techno focus within Black studies we're building here as well. Okay, so we cover a lot in our program. And again, definitely take our courses, come to our events, talk to faculty, talk to students. And once you start talking with us, I'm telling you, you want to hang out with us, all right?
Thank you so much. Round of applause for the entire team. And then we will share that date and that flyer info that you shared later with everyone who came, which gets me to the point that if you didn't sign up, that's totally fine. Come and find me so I can write your email down so we can send you more information because we want to continue to do these tours semesterly. So we are going to walk to Tigert now. I would encourage, but not require, I don't believe in requirements, you talk to someone you don't know on the walk. Even if it's as simple as hi and who you are and like why you came, or just walk alongside someone that you didn't come, because that's how we build a bigger community to do a lot of this work and break down the like perceived and real barriers. So grab a new friend and walk towards Tigert. Alex, you want to lead the crew?
The first time he went through the archives, he was like in high school or something. He knew immediately. That's what I want to do. That's his life. Just like that. How do you like? Those people are so lucky. I mean, I have never heard of that. That's a good question. That's Steve, you know. That's a good idea.
You guys, all right, we're going to move up so we're not hearing noise. Maybe we can do the Capitol crawl and crawl up the steps too. So. Down the stairs for Everybody okay? Everybody all right? Yeah. Hi. I'm Steve Noll. I teach history here at UF. I teach disability history. I teach Florida history. And part of Florida history, obviously, is UF history. And so think of a warmer day. It's cold now. April 15th, 1971. Yeah. People are thinking about doing what? Paying their taxes, right? People are thinking of paying their taxes. People are thinking about the fact that within a couple months, 18-year-olds are going to be able to vote because they couldn't vote before that. So they're going to, and UF students, UF African-American students, are on these steps confronting the president of the university, who is
Marston?
No. Stephen C. O'Connell, namesake of the Stephen C. O'Connell Center, the O-Dome, Exactech Arena. Stephen C. O'Connell, former Chief Justice of the Florida Supreme Court, becomes president of UF, and at this point, there are approximately 350 African-American students here. Marginalized, still not considered part of the mainstream UF campus, and feeling that their concerns, questions, grievances are not being fully answered. And so on that morning, the BSO, the Black Student Organization, comes to these steps right here where you are and demands, not asks, demands to see the president of the University of Florida. He ain't here, or he ain't going to see them. And they present a series of grievances or demands concerning their position at UF and the concerns they have that African American experience on campus is marginalized. They want more black professors. They want integrated into the mainstream of UF's academic and social life. They want administrators who are concerned about the issues that they are concerned about. President O'Connell refuses to see them. There are about maybe 30 here, including the head of the BSO. They leave, they come back with more people. President O'Connell refuses to see them as well. It is not contentious at this point. It is not confrontational at this point, but O'Connell is ignoring their demands, ignoring them, and basically saying, you know, I will not meet with you if you are on my steps. This is my house, get out. And they said, but this is my university. More people come, and by the third time, they go inside and demand to see him on the second floor. What happens? He gets nasty. Get out of here. You people don't belong here. And think about that. You don't belong here. This is our university, sir, right? And he basically calls the UPD to get them out. Right? 66 students are arrested. Students from around the campus hear about this, white and black, and then converge on these steps, including the SG president, which may seem, can you tell that truck to stop that noise? Thank you. The SG president, who has had confrontations with President O'Connell in the past, because students have been protesting what? What have they been protesting? Against the war in Vietnam. And student government president, a man named Steve Uhlfelder, who eventually ends up on the board of regents of the state university system, quite a change, has demanded that O'Connell do something and make UF's position known against the war. He refuses to do that. And so Uhlfelder has called for his resignation. And now he's here trying to navigate, negotiate, assume that maybe O'Connell will meet with these people. That's not going to happen. As word of the arrests come out, more than 66 people, more than 100 people, maybe 1,000 UF students. And I'm saying there's 20,000 people here. Not, how many are here now? 60? 55? Because I can't drive 55, okay. But there's 20,000, so about 1,000 students descend here demanding that these students be released. That, you know, I'm really crazy that they are arrested for what? Peacefully protesting. I mean, you know, they're not breaking any windows. They're not breaking furniture. They're just trying to get their demands known. It gets violent. Not only UPD, but GPD, Gainesville Police, are called in. Students are arrested, more so. Buses are taken here in which students are forced onto the buses where they're going to be taken to be processed in the Alachua County Jail. What do students do? they let the air out of the tires on the buses. You know, and then what happens? I mean, students are gassed, students are beaten. It is a profoundly violent scene, right? And O'Connell is indignant that, you know, the cause of all this are those people who are protesting. And anybody know who Michael Gannon was or is? Who's Michael Gannon?
Historian over in St. Augustine.
Yeah, he is a former Catholic priest who has become an iconic history professor here at UF, and remarkable social activist who basically a year earlier stood between Gainesville Police Department officers and UF students and prevented, at some level, what might have happened here, what happened at Kent State. And he comes here too to try to tamp down the escalating violence that he sees may turn into more than just what's happening, right? That it may turn into a wholesale bloodbath here, right here, on these steps, out into traffic is stopped on University Avenue, you know. So what happens? Right? What happens? Well, people are taken to the Alachua County Jail where they're processed in. Bail is set at $100 unless they can show their UF ID. If they're UF ID, they're released on their own recognizance. Eventually, all the charges are dropped, right? But what happens? Well, dozens of students, and O'Connell goes out the back door. Because students are here, goes out the back door, goes to his house, which is, we know where the old president's house is? Yes. Right, that, which should be the regular president's house, but you know. So he goes there, and students, led by the student government president, Ufelder, descend on his house in the evening time. Now, you know, this is his workhouse. Now they're going to his house, and confront him. Come on out and talk to us. He comes out and says, I'm not talking to you, get off my lawn, basically, right? Police car comes up. He gets in the car and leaves his own house. So now what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Well, within the next 4 or 5 days, a significant number of African American students withdraw from campus, saying, I cannot exist at a university that treats me and my brothers like this, right? And many of their demands are also the demands about the workforce at this university. This university won't run without staff, right? And the vast majority of staff at this university, which are overworked and underpaid, are African American. And they said, you know, we only represent black students, even though we're the BSO. We represent black workers too, and they need to be treated more fairly. You see how they're treated now. Nothing there has happened. So these students resign from the university, withdraw from the university. The highest ranking African American administrator resigns, and a black faculty member resigns as well. O'Connell remains unrepentant. I didn't do nothing wrong. And this event becomes known in Florida history, in UF history, as Black Thursday, right? For, you know, and it was very interesting. You know, is it Black Thursday because of the black students who came here? Is it Black Thursday because of the stain on the university? Or is it both? You know, but it's a horrific event. And, you know, to me, the interesting thing is, you know, the O-Dome, the president after him is, after him is a man named Robert Marston. The O-Dome is built during his administration, and it's named after O'Connell. And there's been periodic attempts to try and rename that building, right? And one of my students did her honors thesis for me on Black Thursday, did a lot of interviews with the people who participated in this, some of whom came back to the university and became administrators, right? Which is amazing. And not only did she do that, she curated an exhibit at the Matheson Museum downtown on this on Black Thursday, which was remarkable, and parlayed that into a graduate program at North Carolina State University in public history, which is, you know, just remarkable. But in the middle of her doing this, she had a public discussion with some of the people who participated in this event. And of course, it was in the middle of COVID, so it was all on Zoom. And you know, I was listening, and it was fascinating having these people who were there giving their perceptions of what happened. And so, any questions? And my hand goes up on Zoom, and I said, "What do you think of renaming the building?" Okay, and you know, everybody under the age of 60 or 50 said what? Needs to be renamed, right? 3 of the people who participated in the protest, who had to leave the university, whose lives were upended by this, said no. They said no. They said, that won't do anything. We need to keep protesting. That name change isn't going to do anything. Let's just keep working to make this place a better place. I thought that was remarkable. And, you know, am I going to argue with people who are here, with people who put their behinds on the line, people who left this university? So it's a complicated issue, but certainly it is not an issue that has gone away. And the questions and concerns that people had back then are still present today. You know, as we said, you know, other demonstrations have taken place on these steps, you know, anti-war demonstrations, anti-apartheid demonstrations in the 80s, divest UF from prison labor in this century. So the activism that these people brought is not in a vacuum. It's still continuing, and I think that's something that we need to really think about. And certainly, Steve Ulfelder thought that. He died in 2023, but he was an activist to the end, particularly fighting against the ideas and beliefs of the administration in Tallahassee regarding COVID. I mean, he's an actor, and he walked around the state of Florida dressed as the Grim Reaper, and with you know the whole Grim Reaper outfit, saying this is what is happening in my state. And that activism comes out of anti-war activism and Black Thursday right here on these steps. So that's what I got. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
I saw that currently in the rights, there's signs that say protesting inside buildings is against university statue. Yep. When did that become officially like rule? After this, right? And certainly the other thing is the building we were just at, Turlington. And where's my historic president?
I'm right here.
Okay, Turlington, right? When Turlington was built, wasn't built when this was happening, right? Turlington was built in 1978. And the way Turlington was built, like that fortress, there's good stories that Turlington was built that way because there was no great gathering place where students could meet. And so it's built that way to prevent the exact same kinds of things that happened here. So, yeah. If anybody's in my class, if you don't ask a question, you don't get extra credit. You got nothing?
You did a great job explaining.
Yes.
I'm a product of the Counseling Education Program back in '83. As I said before, the anti-apartheid.
Dr. Avila?
I remember the name,
yep.
Yes. Her course.
Yep.
But there was a real sense of counselors being change agents and affiliating with protesters.
Here come the cops. Yes.
I'm an activist, a longtime activist myself. In fact, I'm running for school board here in Alachua County, so counseling, relationships.
Yep.
It's interesting that when I first entered in the fall quarter of '78, they had a class called Counseling Ethnic Minorities, okay? Counseling ethnic, over the years, it changed and became counseling the culturally different, and now multicultural counseling. So it shows you the names that we give to these disciplines
matter.
Really have something to say, and defining our terms is critical to progress.
Right. So if you're in my class, you know the hashtag.
It's complicated.
Or the other one. Hashtag words matter. Hashtag words matter. Yep. So yes, no, words do matter, you know. And certainly O'Connell is behind that curve, you know. And interesting, you know, we see his name wanting to be off, and then we also could see the name of J. Wayne Wrights being removed from the Rights Union for his participation with the Johns Committee in the 1950s. So
guess not just for Black Thursday, in general, where do you see the role then and now in terms of media in a lot of this? Because I think part of the language is like the word riot is used explicitly to create a story around what's going on for people who weren't there to make it sound worse or better. So role of media.
Media is really important, and it depends on who's using the media or who's participating in the media. Today we were just talking in my Florida history class about the removal of a black neighborhood in Palm Beach, and black media maintains that they were removed by fire and burning. On the other hand, white media says no, they were removed legally. So who's in charge of the media really matters, I think. And certainly, hashtag words matter. What happened here? Was it a demonstration? Mm-hmm. Was it a riot? Yeah. Was it black people out of control? Was it police out of control? I mean, I think it's really dependent on who is sending the message, right? And I think we need to be aware of who is sending that message and to determine how this thing is perceived.
The dominant narrative. Who's going to establish that dominant narrative?
Yep. And certainly the voices of the people involved are not heard as much as the voices of the people who, like Stephen C. O'Connell, and I think that's profoundly important as well. He's the president; his voice is heard. The lowly student, black or white, who is involved in this, we're not going to hear their voice. So it's important to hear their. Yeah, Colin.
Was there any did anything ever happen to Stephen O'Connell after all of this happened? Did the UF faculty do anything against him or nothing?
Nothing. No. Wow. No. UF's a pretty conservative place. David.
You said there were certain demands that the students had asked of the president. I was just curious if you could elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly, if it doesn't blow away, exactly their demands. Okay. A commitment, and I'll just read this, a commitment on the part of UF to recruit and admit 500 black students out of the quota of 2,800 freshmen. So have significant number of African Americans participating in the freshman class. Establish a Department of Minority Affairs under the direction of a full vice president. They have a Department of Minority Affairs, but it's run by, some real underling, right? With immediate elevation of Mr. Roy Mitchell to this vice presidency. Roy Mitchell is the black administrator who leaves. Hire a black administrator in academic affairs, hiring of a black assistant manager in personnel, intensification and recruitment and hiring of black faculty. Some of the things, fair and equal treatment. Now this is hashtag 1970s rhetoric. Fair and equal treatment of our black brothers and sisters who are employed at the university. Right? And then thus far, even though we have pleaded, begged, and worked diligently with the administration, our cries have been ignored. This university has consistently denied us these basic needs we deem necessary. We're the voice of the black student, the black worker, and the entire black community. As for our full participation and students, employees, and citizens of this state, these needs must be met. So, yeah, and interesting. And he calls those demands unacceptable and extreme. So, okay. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Noll. When mass protests and gatherings happen, such as on Black Thursday, there's a tendency to romanticize and think of this as spontaneous gatherings, when in fact they generally are not. And you mentioned the role of the BSO in organizing these protests. I was wondering if you could say a little bit more about that, and also about continuing organizational legacies of these organizations.
Well, it's not spontaneous. African American students have been talking about this for years. Their demands have been not met as they've met nicely, quote unquote nicely. Many of the concerns have been met in dormitories. Where they lived in East. I don't know. You know where East Hall is? Black males. Dorms were segregated by sex then. East was, but the basement of East apparently, and I've heard, it was just like a cavern, but a great place because, it was their space. So they would meet there and talk about this. So yeah, none of this is spontaneous. I mean, organized, planned, and based upon years of not listening to our voice. And the legacy of this is that I think certainly the establishment of the Institute for Black Culture, which is instituted 1972. So, in response to this, okay, we'll give you a building. The building was wonderful. But, torn down, and then I'm sure we'll talk about that, but, the building is great. The building should have been capped, but it wasn't capped because why? It was not maintained for all this. It's going to cost $6 gazillion to retrofit it. If it had been retrofitted the whole time, now the building's nice. Don't give me any.
And that's the Institute of Black Culture there on University?
Yes.
Yeah, which we actually are going to move
which we're going to go to right now.
So after last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, it's
Just to say
like
that it's the Black Student Union.
Yeah.
Black
But,
Student
okay.
Organization.
All right. Yep.
They still exist.
Yep. Okay. Yep. I went to William and Mary, and there it's a BSO. So we're yes. So it's yes, and they still exist, and they are an important part of a. They're an important part of not just the African American experience, but the campus in general. And thank you you should have corrected me as soon as I said that. Yeah, because that's important. Yep. All right, we're heading there now.
Yeah, so Dr. Noll will still be with us, and other people have obviously said, there's shared wisdom in this group, too. And so also thinking through, if you are passionate about changing anything, raise your hand. If there's any change in the world that you're hoping to make. Okay, it all intersects with this, right? Everyone's individual power moves towards collective liberation, so not seeing things as someone else's issue or even a moment in time. This is not about one event. This is about a movement that has continued on, and we are all part of this. So remembering that and walking with a new friend. Thank you.
It's nice to be right here.
Yes, and to be in this physical space. Yeah, Alex or anyone can lead us forward, but making sure someone's in the front.
This is really cool. So thank you for letting us know.
We're going to IBC.
Yeah, IBC. We're going to Institute for Black Culture. So someone in the front, make sure you know where that is. Find a friend.
I'm enjoying it.
New friends.
Later, I'm gonna have to kill it.
Take what?
Oh, no.
That's true. That's true.
Hi, I can do the part. If you want to do it, but I feel like you're more than just the door opener.
Do you know Jared?
Yeah. Jared, you're great. Yeah.
Oh, wow. How you doing?
Hello.
Hey, do you guys want to sit down here? I want to do a little presentation.
Oh, do that third bit.
Hello. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to give a brief presentation on the space real quick. And again, welcome everyone. So this is what I'm going to talk about. So one of the most important people in Black history at UF is Virgil Hawkins, who was a guy who applied in 1949, and he was rejected just on the basis of his race. He was a really smart guy, he had all the requirements he needed, but he was rejected because he was Black. So for 10 years in a row, he continued reapplying and reapplying, and he just kept getting rejected. And it was finally escalated to the Supreme Court, and the result of this trial, lawsuit, was that UF was desegregated officially in 1954. And yeah, a couple years later, the African American Studies program began at UF in 1969. And yeah, so he never actually came to UF's law school. He withdrew his application again, but George Stark was the name of the first guy to be enrolled here as a law student, first Black guy. So there was a sit-in, a famous sit-in in Black History at UF in Tigert Hall. So 70 Black students were marched into the president at the time, Stephen O'Connell, the guy the stadium is named after, I'm pretty sure. And 66 Black students were arrested. And over 1,000 marched and gathered in protest of this arrest. And when O'Connell refused, 123 Black students officially withdrew from the university. So I had never heard of this, so that was kind of surprising to learn. And the Black Student Union demanded that 500 Black students were admitted. There's more than that now, so that worked out well. And Department of Minority Affairs was established to help protect these groups like Black folks. And more Black faculty were also hired as a result of this whole ordeal. The IBC was established in 1972. It used to be like, I think, some rich person's house, but it was turned into this space. It looked a lot different back then. And when you walk in on the wall, there's a little mural of the historic space, which is pretty cool. It looks a lot fancier now, more modernized. But yeah, the BSU also demanded that this space be designated. And it was established, like I said, fall 1971, but the building is much older than that. But in 2019, it was remodeled to look all beautiful as it is. What used to be called Black Affairs, as demanded by the BSU, is now the, what's it called? The Center of Inclusion and Multicultural Engagement. We're under that, the Black Student Engagement Office. You guys might be more familiar with our space in the Rights, because you can't miss it when you're walking by. So yeah, we're the same department. Oh yeah, that's what I was just talking about. So yeah, so these are the two main groups that are here. These two offices are here to protect Black students, give them spaces like this, events, so on and so forth. And yeah. Well, that was all I had for you. Aside from a tour. So thank you for listening. Yeah. Thank you. My bad. Any questions, guys?
How'd you get involved with the LBC?
I applied on careers.ufl.edu, and I think we might be looking for one or two more people. So you don't have to be Black to work here. So throw it out there. Nice little job. Yes, sir.
When I was in graduate school here in the early 80s, I joined Black Graduate Student Organization. Does that organization still meet here?
They don't meet here, but they do still exist. They have an Instagram, UFBGSO. They still do events. Sometimes they're here in the IBC, sometimes they're in the BEC, the Black Enrichment Center. But if you follow them, you can find them wherever they do.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hear that a lot of times these houses are underused, so what's a good way to promote them / keep them? Because they're definitely an important space.
That's true. I think that's something that my bosses and us are trying to figure out. How can we promote them? Well, coming here is cool, and word of mouth is really important. These spaces are mainly used as study spaces. So if you're ever considering going to the library to study, so maybe once in a while mix it up and come to the IBC. There's a really cool private room up there. There's a cool nap room up there. We'll show you all that. But yeah, I would just say mix it up. This is just another cool third space, a place you can go other than class or home. And I don't know. How do I make that not happen? Sorry. I didn't think I did anything. But yeah, so I would say just come here, tell your friends about it. And I think that is how we'll get en route for it. And host your organization meetings here too. That's really popular as well.
I can say something to that too. This is a space that the city has one that you can reserve for events. So if you're trying to do, if you're trying to do an event, like African American Studies has done a few events here. We do a lot of our movie events here, and so. It's a place where if you're trying to do an event where you might want to use the screen or you might want to use the atrium space, it's really good for those uses.
when we were talking on the steps of Tigert about student activism and its importance, I think one thing that's really important about this space is when the original building was ready to go and be condemned, the university said, well, we're going to build another one. And next door is, what's next door? You ever know what next door is? La Casita. So the university came up with plans to build like one thing, because we all know that the needs of Black students and Hispanic students are all the same. So they were going to build one building. And without any input from students, Black, Hispanic, green, purple, whatever, any students. And so students demanded that, they have input into how these buildings were designed and built so that it would meet the needs of them rather than the wants and desires of the administration or the people who constructed it. And that happened. There are now two separate buildings, and African-American students who are here at the IBC, I think, are happy with this, and the people at La Casita are happy. But it wouldn't have happened without the impact and input of students themselves. So I think certainly that stuff matters.
What's the story behind this mural here?
The key is here.
Oh, got a key.
I didn't know if the student wanted to speak about it, but the mural was made, I think, this past summer. It's relatively new, but it includes a lot of the really important people who have been a part of the history of Black students on campus. And like this gentleman was saying, the key to who the individuals are is on this wall right here. So you can look up here and match the person and get information about who they are.
Including Virgil Hawk.
Yes, and I encourage you to do that.
And I think if maybe you go to Instagram for the IBC or just click around online, they just had an event to start like History Month about the mural, and some of the people that are represented here were part of that event too. So in like recent times, you can also find more information.
Pretty, right?
Other questions? Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to point out, just one of the figures that I currently follow on Instagram. She is on the bottom left, well, sort of on the in the turquoise shirt. Bertrude Albert. She is a Gator alumni and also fellow Haitian. So. Yes, to all my Haitians out there, and currently she's posting a lot of content concerning the canal in Haiti. So we're trying to build a canal to make agriculture, grow our own food so that we won't be so dependent on imports from other countries. Dominican Republic sometimes is stingy with the way that we can access our goods. So if you want to learn more about what's going on there, you can. I think she's a really great resource and very well researched, and shows us what goes on in Haiti, which is just another marginalized community. Yeah.
Awesome. And if you send me specific things you want me to share with everyone after, I can.
Cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please.
I just want to say, given what was just mentioned about the Haitian students that are on campus, there are other groups of Black students who are on campus. There are organizations for those students as well. So Black Student Union is not the only organization that attends to the needs of Black students on campus. There's also organizations for Caribbean students or about Caribbean culture, about African cultures, and about Afro-Latin communities as well. And so I encourage you, if you're paying attention to all the things that we've been talking about today, that you're also paying attention to the diversity of the Black experience, and not leaving it just to one experience. And all of these organizations often collaborate and work together, but understand that they have different cultures. And in the Black Student Union, there are lots of students who are from lots of those cultures as well. They just have identified Black Student Union as the organization that they want to focus their attention in. But you're encouraged to learn more about and be a part of all the organizations that are here for students.
I actually want to encourage wherever she just went, that came up and shared. If there's other, like, we really believe in this program in shared wisdom, and in general, culturally, that is a much more wide perspective and inclusive way to exist. And so are there other things that you all feel about UF or about students that are maybe like historical facts that you don't think others know? I'd love to like have other people share. Yeah. And also, I know we haven't been doing this, but if we could share our names as we share, because I think that humanizing is important too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Savannah. Hey, everyone. I have 2 quick notes. One on how to help these centers, such as the Institute of Black Culture. When it's Grateful Gator Day or the other one that you donate in fall, and UF sends us all those emails to donate money to a big school that has money, a lot of that money already that's being donated does go to major things like research, athletics, other stuff like that. But who is donating to the IBC, to CMA, to Food and Fork, those type of things that actually students brush up with every single day, especially students who, who aren't mostly minority students or just have like less than. IBC is one of those. Make sure when those happen or libraries, when you actually do donate, those organizations aren't getting nearly the amount of funds that athletics and others are getting. So when you do see,
Parents donate, tell them.
yeah, because
Get the money.
at the end of the day, it is our tuition that is going to a lot of these things. But just remember that this is a space you can use. We cannot, unless you're an athlete, you can't get into the athletics building. I've tried. But make sure this is a building you can get into regardless of race or creed or gender or anything like that. So make sure, if you can, to donate to that. My second note about the historical first, the first Black woman or Black person of student body president is Miss Pamela Bingham. She's a sweetheart, by the way. A lot of these people on there are alive, not all of them, but a good chunk are. They're like someone's grandma's age at most, so it reminds you. So it wasn't that long ago. But Miss Pamela Bingham, she does like environmental work. She works in DC. She's been to UF a couple of times, and I think, she was the first Black woman to win student body president, because I know that just happened like a minute ago.
Thanks. Other folk, fun facts, historical facts, and remembering that history is also like right now too, like not 100 years ago, even 50.
Counseling counseling's my background. I'm a retired guidance counselor. The history book, and Professor Noll knows more about it than I regarding historiography. Who establishes the primary message, and then that becomes the dominant message. Because what we hear from authority figures that sticks in our mind is, everybody, all alternative stories must be false, because we heard it from, Time or CBS or whatever. I say that because the best book on historical criticism I've ever read, and I'd highly recommend it to you, is Killing the Spirit by Paige Smith. Dr. Noll, you're familiar with that work. And it speaks about how authority figures and the establishment will suppress alternative viewpoints. It's important to know. Thank you for listening to me.
So I'm going to have a few of the folks that co-put this on together, collaborated, share about their resource, and way less of like a promo for it, and the fact that these are resources you can use on campus, right? You're paying for these things as part of your education, and we are here very specifically because we care about you, and because we care about moving things forward, and so we want to be there. So Anna is going to share about
the oral history program. Hi, everyone. I'll come up here so you can all get eyes on me. I can't emphasize enough how delighted and grateful we all are that you took the time out of what I know is an absolutely crushing point of the semester to be here with us this afternoon and this evening. My name is Anna Hamilton. I'm the Assistant Director of the Sam Proctor Oral History Program. That may ring a bell for some of you. We're over in Pugh Hall. Please come see us. We are also a very friendly space, very community engaged and community forward. The Proctor program is a delighted and proud and honored partner for this program. We were founded in 1967. We have more than 6,000 oral history interviews in our collection, which kind of feels like I just rattled off a stat about who we are and what we do, but I really want us to take a moment and think about 6,000 interviews from folks from all walks of life who've agreed to give what I think is one of the most exceptional things that you can give, which is your personal narrative, your oral testimony, to bear witness to the historical events that you've experienced and that you've agreed for us to give it a home in the University of Florida's digital collections, which is a publicly accessible resource for all of you, for folks across the country, across the world. So we really hope that you will engage with us. We have collections related not only to Black Thursday, but to the history of UF as a campus, as a community, the politics of UF, the Gainesville and Alachua County community, civil rights. We're currently working on an oral history project with the National Park Service that is documenting stories of descendants of freedom seekers and freedom conductors on the Underground Railroad. So we have a wealth of information. We represent and we steward a wealth of voices and experiences that we don't take lightly. Our worst nightmare as oral historians is that we build these relationships. Again, we're a very community engaged, community focused, community forward social justice research organization. And we do the interviews and then we send them to the archives and they sit in the shelves and gather dust and never see the light of day. So we are challenging you and inviting you to come get to know us, to utilize these voices, and to help us do justice to them, to celebrate them and what they represent. If what you've learned here moved you in some way and you feel compelled to become the leaders that you are, we're now hereby knighting you as all leaders and organizers here for the UF campus. Come take a look at the legacies of organizing and advocacy and student power that are in our collections. They're not just historical records that we can use for evidence in research papers and books and presentations. They're also records and blueprints for how this work has happened over time, how they've served as ways forward for folks who've done this before, as well as documenting some of the challenges that people have run into. So again, we're all part of this legacy, we're all part of this continuum, and we invite you to come be a part of that and take your place in that story. I don't want to take up any more time, but I'm happy to be a resource for you. Reach out anytime. We have several interns from the Sam Proctor Oral History Program who are here. Please raise your hands, ask them questions. We're grateful to them and the great work that they're doing, and consider joining us too. So thank you very much. And I will be happy to answer one question really quickly, but then I'm gonna kick it over to Aimée. Yes.
Is it you have to go in physical to see that, to listen to that, or is it we can go in what?
Great question. So one of the things that I brought with me today, come find me, we had them out at the very beginning of the tour, but we have a flyer with a QR code that will bring you to the University of Florida's digital collections. That's a fancy way of saying the online portal that the libraries oversees that manages several collections that UF manages, including ours. So we have a link to the UFDC there. This will take you to the Black Thursday interviews, but a lot of them are available through the UFDC. We do have some that have yet to be digitized and live in the archives, but yes, the UFDC is a perfect way to engage with that. Thank you for that question. Aimée, would you like to say a few words too? Sure. And again, thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for joining us today. I want to start actually by giving thanks to Alex Leon, Soniy, Manda Wittebort, and Anna from the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program for co-organizing this. It's been fabulous to work with you all and to bring together different communities of people, different units across this huge university that so often feels impersonal, to tell meaningful, important stories of our past to help understand our present and shape our future. So thank you. My name is Dr. Aimée Bourassa, and I'm a faculty member in the Beyond 120 program. This program was started in 2018 by the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences to help our undergraduate students connect the values and the skills of their humanities social sciences and natural sciences and mathematics degree with applied perspectives outside of university to help prepare them for meaningful life as well as meaningful careers after their time as UF. So what's a program like that got to do with a walking tour that focuses on Black Thursday? Well, because a lot of the most meaningful and impactful skills, connections, and experiences that our students can develop begins right here on campus and can take place through your involvements and through important student organizations and organizing. This course was also scaffolded into 2 courses that I developed, courses focused around professional development, really, and experiential learning, but also connected with community engagement and community engaged perspective. The first one, last fall, Careers for Social Impact, dedicating a full week to understanding organizing, starting oftentimes right here on campus through student organizing, with organizing as a career pathway. And this semester, through this, kind of want to give props to my students who are still here and also to my fabulous co-instructor, Amanda, and through our course, Town and Gown Relations in Action, understanding the relationship between the University of Florida and Gainesville, between the university and its neighbors, its communities, understanding our place in it and that connection, and understanding, again, the role that student organizing and intra-institutional, that's a mouthful, intra-institutional advocacy can have in shaping those relations. So I want to go back to a question that Manda asked earlier and see if y'all's perspectives changed at all. Manda, what were the questions about power?
Do you believe that neighbors have power?
So having heard what you heard today in those powerful stories, you think that neighbors have power? Raise your hand if you can, and if you do. I sure do.
Do you believe that students have power?
Heck yeah.
And do you believe that you have power?
Absolutely. And together we have even more power. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Please come find us in Farrier Hall.
Hi, everyone. My name is Soniy Alamdari. I'm a 3rd year. First, I want everyone to give a round of applause to Alex because she completely spearheaded this. This is our 2nd walking tour, and I'm so honored to be part of both of them. I also want to give a round of applause to everyone here. Can you guys give yourselves a round of applause, pat on the back? The turnout has been absolutely amazing, and we're so glad that everyone has showed interest in this, and it motivates us to keep going forward. But yeah, I'm a student director for a program called Path to Purpose at the Brown Center. Come find me after you want to know more about it. But essentially, we help bridge the gap between students and Alachua County. So if you guys raised your hands for any of those questions, I would love it if you could find me afterwards and see if you want to be part of our cohort. We try and mobilize students to work with community organizations as a way of helping them develop their leadership skills, but also to help you guys know your power. You're not just students, you are students. And with that, I think that it's important for you guys to know how much power you hold. I personally work with an organization called Community Spring, if anyone's familiar with that. I work with formerly incarcerated individuals as I'm a criminology student. And I have to say that I've learned more in that space than I have ever learned in any class. And I really encourage trying and finding these 3rd spaces. I was talking with some students earlier how these 3rd spaces are so important because it's so different from just your work and home environment, but it's someplace that you can learn with hands-on experience. And I hope if you learned one thing from today, it's that everyone has power, and you can only do it by working with each other. So thank you again, everyone, for coming.
It's also Soniy's 21st birthday in 2 days, so happy birthday. Yeah, and then ending words I have so many things to say that I'm just gonna say a few random ones instead. One, the Matheson Museum in town and the Cotton Club are 2 really amazing historical advocacy movement. They brought Dr. Ibram Kendi in town the other week, which is amazing to me. So, and they're free, and they're near campus, they're walkable, they're part of the community, and they're spaces that people have worked really hard to hold on to. 2, we all affect each other. So as students, as neighbors, as people, we're affecting those around. So just making that extra effort in a world that can feel really isolating and busy, these things make a difference. And then that, for me at least, the personal is political and the political is personal. And there's so much of our power that comes from and goes back to politics, big P politics and little p politics every day too. So please enact your power in your own way. And then I also really believe that justice is love in action. So for all those who deeply believe in love and in kindness, great. Justice is a way to show that, right? To walk down and fight for things that you believe in and be in community with others. So with that, please, join Brown Center Leadership Service for everyone that's been here. We've highlighted so many places, and we will send you a follow-up email. So please make sure I have your email if you didn't sign up. The food has arrived, Pisano's, so some pizza and other things that are gonna be upstairs purposefully, because I think you're gonna walk us around, or people are free to walk around. If you could just point to some places around this building that are important to hear about. You're good to go. We just wanna make sure to send you the resources. Yeah, of course.